Hi guys, this video is going to be a true life story about myself, about how I got burned around 2 years old and how this affected my life over the past 10 or 20 years through my childhood, teenage year, and my adulthood. First of all, I need you guys to understand how difficult it is for me to open up about this topic because I consider it very personal, very traumatic, and very intimate. I don't even talk about this with my family because I don't want to embarrass them or make them feel even worse, especially my mom. So yeah, I think before I begin to share my story, it is necessary for me to share all my scars on my body in front of the camera for the very first time and be open up about it. I don't even like to let people see in daily life, so I don't know what I'm doing right now, but I'll tell you guys the reason later why I decide to share this topic. Yeah, so I'm going to show you my scar on my arm, left arm, the scar on my belly. Those are stitches because it's a skin transplant from my belly to my arm. And the last scar is on my leg, on my thigh. And that part, I didn't have a surgery. So you would see the original burnt skin. Okay, so here I go. Now this is the scar and it is this big. So originally it was not smooth like this. As you can see, actually it is smooth right now, but the only problem is that, you know, here are like bumps around the whole part, and all these parts used to be stitches because I had a surgery, and then after the surgery, probably after a month, and then I had to go back to the hospital with my mom. That was like around 7 or 8 years old. I had my surgery about it, and then the doctor helped to take out all the stitches. Okay, and the second scar is actually here. So as you can see, the length is like this, really long, like a worm, I don't know. Yes, so the skin was taken from here to transplant to my arm here, and then the doctor have to close it because obviously the skin was gone and was moved here, and then the stitches. So this is the second scar, and then I'll show you guys the last one. Yeah, so here is my last scar on my thigh. It's like this big, and you can see here is like a white part. I don't even know why it is like this. Probably it's because it was burned really bad. And yeah, as you can see here, that this part didn't have any surgery. So what you see right here is the original burnt skin. Okay, so now you had a look of all my scars. I'm gonna tell you why I wanna share with you about this story. It's because I always wanted to get it out of my chest. I feel like this is something very traumatic in my entire life. It's not gonna change. Okay, you have to understand. It's very difficult if you were in my shoes. This is going to be a very terrible experience in your entire life, and it's not reversible. You cannot change it, just like when people burn, or you know, when people die, you know, those things cannot be reversed. So I hope you understand it is really difficult for me, but I want to let you guys know because number one reason, I don't really know you guys. I know I don't mean anything vicious. I just want to say that because we're not friends or we're not family in real life. That's why, I came out of the closet in the previous video to you guys, and now I'm telling you a story that I wasn't able to, or I didn't have enough courage to share here again. That's because I don't know you guys. So don't feel hurtful if you are one of my viewers and who loves to study Chinese. So don't feel bad about it. It's just, this is a very secret platform for me. You guys can watch me here, but I didn't tell any of my friends or my family members the exact link which can let them watch my videos. I told them, okay, I'm doing videos on a platform, it's a foreign website, but I would never let my real friends and my family members in life to know I'm making these kind of videos. This is just like my secret diary. So this platform allows me not only to make Chinese videos for you guys, but also let me get things out of my chest, something bothers me or confuses me, because I think I would never have the courage to show this footage to my family or my friends in real life. So thank you guys for watching and listening to my life experience, and I will make more videos like this to let you guys know Eddie G, who Eddie G is. He is not only a funny Chinese Mandarin teacher, but also he's a human being, and he's allowed to share his true feelings and to laugh or cry in front of the camera. Okay, I think that's the first thing I need to clarify. So yeah, I think this is something I need to clarify before I even get started, how I got burned. So when I was around 2 years old, at that time my mom and dad already had a really bad relationship. So they got divorced when I was around probably 9 or 10 years old, when I was in 5th or 4th grade in primary school. But even way before that, they already had a really bad relationship, and I'm gonna say this, it's mainly because of my dad, and he's a really weird person, and we didn't really have a good relationship through my whole childhood or teenage years, but now he's getting older, so I chose to forgive him, and we occasionally talk on WeChat, on the phone or wherever. But I just feel like there is a thick wall between me and my father, and this is never gonna change, even after many years. I don't think it'll change until even I die or something. This is what it is. Our relationship is bad. So anyway, go back to the topic. When I was 2 years old, my parents would argue a lot, and one day I was playing on a chair. Of course, there's a table near the chair, and on the table there is a water bottle, like a really big water bottle. So at that time, my parents just boiled some water in a boiler and then transferred the water from a boiler to that water bottle, right? And then they put it on the table. So that time they were arguing, and I was just left there to play myself. I was playing on that chair, a wooden chair, okay? And then somehow, I was a child. I was only 2 years old, so I didn't even know what I was doing. And then one moment I just, fell off the chair, and as a human instinct, the first action you will do is to grab something, grab whatever near you, and unfortunately there was nothing solid or big enough for me to hold, so I grabbed that water bottle, which contained 100 degree hot water. So it's just freshly boiled. And the next thing you guys probably should guess, the water was all over my body, and what's worse, that was the winter time, and if my parents were really experienced, they would just took me to the tap, just turn on, just turn on the tap and let the cool water flow on my body, and probably it wouldn't got worse like this. And second, I told you it was winter. I was wearing really thick sweater or whatever clothes, and you can imagine that the clothes will just like will melt, and it just became the same thing with your skin. That's why the skin would become really in a bad shape. So when my parents heard what happened, and of course I was crying, but seriously, I didn't remember anything, because again, I was only 2. It was just later my mother told me the details. So my parents were totally panicking, especially my mom. And my mom just grabbed me and ran to the hospital, a really nearby hospital. But that hospital is not a specialized hospital for treating skin. So what they did, what the doctor did was, I don't know, they just try their best to save me. Probably I stayed in the hospital for a few days. I really didn't remember. The only thing I remember about my surgery was the second time, was when I was around 7 or 8 years old. I just told you I had a total skin transplant surgery when I was in primary school. Yes, so that's how I got burnt when I was at that young. I couldn't remember anything about that night I got burnt. But this thing, I should say, has changed my entire life. As you can see, I don't have a cute face. I am not the cutest person in the world. So I definitely wish that I could have perfect skin, or just normal skin, right? Which can make me look like a normal boy when I was young. But, on the other hand, I was kind of thankful that the water didn't hurt my face. I don't even know what I'm gonna do if the water hurt my face. I probably would kill myself, as you can imagine. But again, who knows? I don't know if I have enough courage to kill myself. But anyway, this scar on my body just changed my entire life. When I was in primary school, and those little kids would ask, oh, what happened to your arm? And some of them would just probably discuss about it, and I felt really uncomfortable. Even I was a little kid, I still have self-esteem, right? You wouldn't want other people to judge you, and to discuss some ugly scars on your body. So I was really shy, and plus my parents' bad relationship, all this stuff just infected so much my childhood. That's why I was a total different person from right now. The person you can see, I was really shy. I didn't have any confidence. I would walk to school alone. I ate lunch alone at school. I didn't try to make friends. When we had a break, after class, I just slept on the table. I was just this really quiet and shy boy. What hurt most is that I remember there was a girl in middle school. I remember I was in my first year in middle school. So one day I kind of had an argument with that girl, my classmate, and then she just suddenly called me a handicap because she saw my scar on my arm for a long time, of course, because since day one everybody can see that, right? And she happened to sit very close to me in class. So one day we had this argument, and then she just picked that part and just called me a handicap, and I cried, of course. It just really hurt me. because this is not handicap, it's just an ugly scar on my body. It's not like that I don't have a leg, or I missed one arm or something. So yeah, anyway, it hurts me. And this ugly scar on my arm also stopped some of my dreams. For example, I used to think I could be a model, but again, I don't have a cute face, right? But if I have good skin, I could try part-time modeling, because they prefer a person who has perfect skin, right, to model. And I used to dream to become a flight attendant. I thought it was a fancy job. However, with with visible scar on your body, you can't apply for that job, let's be honest. And this is China. Um, the standard, the criteria for becoming a flight attendant is even more strict than the ones in Western countries. In China, you have to be beautiful, or to be handsome, to be tall, to have good body shape to be a flight attendant, no matter you're a girl or a boy. So if I have this ugly scar on my arm, I'm just like, they will just exclude me like straight, right? So yeah, and some other examples are when I am taking a bus or any other public transport, right? I would just stick my hand out to hold a bar, because when you don't have a seat, you have to stand and you need something to hold. And the person who sit close to you would notice your scar, and they would just stare at it like for a while. And that moment really made me uncomfortable. It happened a lot. So in summertime, I used to feel very uncomfortable wearing short sleeves, like t-shirt. Yes, and when new friends see me, they would say, "Oh, what's going on with your arm?" They would always ask me questions like that. I know that they don't mean anything vicious, okay, but still, it just really hurt me when people just ask me questions like that. So you guys can imagine, back to over 20 years ago, what the skills and technology would a hospital or a doctor have, right? So what you can see right now is like their best skill to give me a transplant surgery. So if it's in a modern society, like in recent years, probably hospitals have better technology. If you get burned, you probably can have better skin transplant, and make the skin look more smooth than my skin. I remember my mom made a lot of effort to ask for places to make my skin better after I had my surgery. Okay, I had my skin plant surgery, and okay, it didn't look really well, and I was talking about my mom then took me to different places to see doctors to to find a way to make it better. I remember when I was in middle school, probably, my mom found this place. It's like a hospital, or probably like a place do cosmetic surgeries, and then she would bring me there. I don't know, twice a week or once a week. I really couldn't remember clearly. And so the doctor would use a method. It's like a needle, okay? It's just like gave me a shot. Just imagine, okay, to see it, you guys can see like how big this area is, and it's like if you wanna to make the side, I don't even know how to say, like all these parts, if you wanna make it less ugly, then he'll just give me a shot. You guys can imagine how painful that was. Like as a little child, I had to suffer the pain from the needle, like from here, and I probably will receive like 30 or 35 shots with needles to cover all the parts, because the doctor said if you do that twice a week or once a week, the skin will become more flat and more smooth. So my mom had to take me there. Of course I know, my mom cares about me. She loves me. She must felt terrible that, because they had a fight and didn't take good care of me. And the next thing is that I had this ugly scars. I don't blame my mom. It's just, I know how she felt. She didn't want me to turn like this, but it is what it is. It happened. So all over these years, I try not to talk about it with my mom, because it's not really her fault. I mean, it's kind of my father's fault. I used to have a lot of hatred to my dad, but whatever. Right now he's becoming old. The scar on my left arm really hurt me physically and mentally. There's another story I remember, which is about my scar. I went to UK to study my master's degree back to 2014, and I made a boyfriend, a British guy. So I don't know why I mentioned it to him at one night after I got drunk. I just guess I was really drunk. I just talked about my scar again randomly. I was crying. I was saying that why do I look ugly? Why do I have this ugly scar? I just look really ugly, something like that. And my boyfriend, my ex-boyfriend, actually told me that, no, don't be stupid, you're beautiful. And then he started to kiss my scar on my arm. I mean, at that moment, I don't know how I felt. Maybe I was drunk, maybe I was a little sober, and what he told me just made me feel really sad. It's a very complicated feeling. And then I think about my mom. All these years she must also felt terrible about my scar. And I just, all those bad memories when in my childhood just came to my mind. Yeah, so this scar really affects me for a long time, for a lifelong time. Even I am telling you the story right now, I think I still couldn't get over it. Up to today, I probably wouldn't care about it as much as I used to do. But, it's a trauma. It's bad experience. And it's gonna be on my body forever. What I can only do is try my best to feel normal about it. And also, I want to let everybody know, if you have a similar experience with me, if you have got burnt when you were young, I want to let you know, hey, we share the same experience. We relate to each other. Just try to feel beautiful. Try to feel unique. You are still beautiful even with scar on your body. I keep telling myself this, and I hope it works on me. I hope it works on anyone who has the same experience with me. Yes, that's my little story about my ugly scar on my body, and I hope you guys like my life story. Alright, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.